The Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG 2025 World Championship ban list is finally revealed, and there are some interesting hits on that list. If you don't know, the World Championship list is combined from the OCG and TCG ban lists and put together, with the stricter hits applying. So for example, if Fenrir is at 3 in the TCG but banned in the OCG, which it is today, then Fenrir will be banned for the World Championship. And while there's a lot of new interesting decks in play, there's also some decks that won't be able to exist under the World Championship ban list. So in this video, we'll be reviewing the new ban list and of course discussing which decks are going to be dominating this year's World Championship. So which decks are going to be the best performing decks and the pro players' choices in this year's World Championship in Paris, France? So obviously, there's one thing we need to mention ahead of time. Not every set is even legal for the World Championship. Every set that is released in both OCG and TCG is going to be legal, but first of all, there's the whole Battles of Legend Monster Mayhem kerfuffle where it didn't release in Europe, so that set, as mentioned here, is not going to be legal. And of course, a lot of OCG exclusive sets and some new cards released there, like the new Dark Magician Fusion, which is really strong, but not going to be allowed. And of course, Doom of Dimensions, the newest set in the OCG, is also not going to be legal. So in this list, there's also going to be the TCG exclusive cards that are not going to be on there. And of course, there's a huge archetype ruling the TCG right now. And also we're going to go through and check out what are the interesting combined hits that might make some decks kind of unplayable. So let's begin. The beginning of this is going to be cards that are exclusive to each region. So you can also see, you can already see some of these cards here. Now, I think the biggest one right off the gate is Necro Quip Princess. This card, with the ban of Fiendsmith's Lacrima, the level 6 fusion monster, basically means that Fiendsmith is unplayable. And we're going to see later on in this list, Fiendsmith Requiem and Fiendsmith Engraver and Fiendsmith Tract are all limited. So essentially, in this constellation, there's no real way to make a rank 6. So that means DDD Wave King High Caesar is essentially not going to be playable at all in this format, which is very, very interesting. We got Zapper Shrimp, which is a card that's played by White Forest and also Area Leader. A lot of really strong cards released in Infinite Forbidden that, unfortunately or fortunately for us, are just exclusive to the TCG. The whole Mimigul archetype, not released yet. Let's dive in and see what else is interesting here. So obviously Mimigul, a TCG exclusive archetype. But yeah, there were some cards here, especially released with the Fiendsmith cards, that are really impactful in Infinite Forbidden. And now, of course, yeah, Mitsurugi. Mitsurugi is not going to be legal in this World Championship. And it's funny because this is probably the best deck. Ryzeal Mitsurugi Fiendsmith in current TCG format just made a lot of waves in the UWCQ with Fiendsmith, with Ryzeal, and all of them are kind of severely hit on this list. So yeah, Mitsurugi not going to be a part of this. And also, you can see here a Man with a Mark. Yeah, the whole Odeon archetype is exclusive to the TCG and is not going to be legal for Worlds. One more thing that we mentioned in the beginning, you can see some Fabled cards, some Drak cards, and some Geminite cards here, of course the Necros as well. These are all a part of the Battles of Legend Monster Mayhem, which unfortunately, due to a production error, was not released in the TCG altogether. It was released only in North America, not released in Europe currently because of the whole 3 Starlights a box thing. It's going to be released, I think, late August, but yeah, this one is not going to be legal. So all of these cards are essentially banned from the World Championship. Another thing that is kind of interesting is Magistus cards in Battles of Legend. These cards are being played currently in the OCG, together with some Dragon Maid cards, in the OCG with Draco Tail. Draco Tail is a fusion spellcaster archetype that kind of fuses from the hand, and it has a lot of good synergy with both the Magistus cards and the Dragon Maid cards, both illegal, and also Punk cards, which were also released in Monster Mayhem, and of course, the Orcust cards, which is very interesting because Orcust won the North American Championship, which is huge, right? This deck got an amazing Link 1, Galatea I, the Orcust Automaton, and a good Link 4 with Enlil Girsu, again, both of which, because of a production error, not going to be legal in this World Championship. And lastly, before we jump into the actual list, it's the new RB TCG exclusive archetype. I don't think anybody cares about this, but yeah. Every single World ban list, we see some cards here that always kind of repeat themselves. We have Unity, Yujo Friendship, and Judgment of the Pharaoh. With Judgment of the Pharaoh, if you look it up, it's going to be right here on screen. It is a good card, but these cards were not released worldwide, and unfortunately because of that, I think this is also because they were released, I think, partially in North America and not the EU. Those aren't going to be legal, and there are also 3 normal monsters on the Forbidden list, which are the new Blackluster Soldier, Vanilla Edition, and the 2 Anotherverse cards that are prize cards in the TCG that unfortunately were still not released. But Anotherverse Dragon, if you want to play that, those will be legal. Let's continue and jump into the actual list. We see some common cards here. I think Fairy Tale Snow should still be legal in the OCG, but unfortunately for the TCG it is not. Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, of course, and Chao again got hit on a recent ban list. And yeah, Kashira Fenrir, we mentioned this at the beginning. Kashira Fenrir is in fact banned, and even though the Kashira engine isn't seeing a ton of play right now, it means that it won't see any play because this deck is basically unplayable under this ban list. Maxi, yeah, it is it is forbidden from play, and yeah, nothing else super important here. Now we have the Fiendsmith's Lacrima, which again is mentioned because of this change, and this is banned in the OCG, in the TCG by the way, but is completely legal in the OCG. So they do still have this card, which burns for time, of course. Because of this, and the fact that Necrocook Princess is also banned, you can't make DDD Wave High King Caesar, and also a spoiler, Engraver is also limited on this list. We got Baron the Fleur and Borreload Savage. I think both are legal and seeing play in the OCG, but they are banned in the TCG. These are not going to see play here. Now, interesting enough, Abyss Dweller got banned in both lists recently, but another interesting thing is that the TCG just banned Bahamut Shark from Mermails, but also on the OCG side, Totally Awesome has been banned since Sprite days. Yes, you heard it correctly. So of course, Mermail, I mean, it doesn't really matter. One of these could be banned and it's enough, but both of them are banned in this case. Another card that is going to be super relevant is going to be Paradise Smasher number 67. This card just got banned in the OCG, the recent list, but it is still legal at 3 in our list. Now, if you don't know what this card does, it's essentially a turn skip where you roll dice and the player who has the lowest result can't activate effects or attack until the end of the next turn. So essentially, today, you have Canine Vanquish Soul, which is going to be legal for this championship, and they can make this rank 5 with 3 materials, which is enough to manipulate the dice result, and this is going to be banned, I think, 100% in the TCG soon, but it is not yet. Thankfully, it is. We're not going to be seeing this on the world main stage. Another card that just got banned, I think, Apollosa, which makes a lot of sense. I think Curious is still legal in the OCG, which is interesting, but not going to be here. All the Nightmares, yeah, I think they just released Goblin, or maybe Mermaid is also even legal, but Griffin and Link Decoder are both recent hits for Malice in this format. Granted, today maybe you wouldn't have played them, but Link Decoder for Malice is a huge thing because Malice is also hit additionally on this list. Now, let's dive into the spells. I think for the spells, there's really nothing super interesting. Original Simple Spell, Snake Eyes, yeah, I don't think that's super important. Fun fact, in the OCG, a Pointer of the Red Lotus, and I think also Branded Expulsion, both of these are still legal. A Pointer is seeing play in the OCG still, maybe it's like at 1 or something. And then Red Reboot is also a card that is legal in the OCG. It's not going to be legal for the World Championship. Let's go over the limited cards here. We have Protoss, which is, yeah, this card is going to be potentially relevant. Maybe with a Ryziel variant with the Dododo cards, but we'll get to that in a second. All the Bestials except Saronir are limited here. Now, Baldrake is a 3 in the TCG, and in the OCG is limited, which means that in addition to other Malice hits, this is going to severely impact the playability of Bestials in this format. Diabellstar, also legal, and X-Ryziel. This is a big one, because in current ban list, essentially, you will have 2 Eyes, 2 Sword, and 1 X-Ryziel, which is obviously the best in the deck. I think this is a severe hit to this deck. Given that now maybe you have a little bit of the Dododo cards to compensate, maybe you can do something, but this deck doesn't have Mitsurugi, it doesn't have anything to lean on, and one thing also it doesn't have is the Fiendsmith engine. So it's kind of broken apart. I'm going to be super interested to see if maybe someone can cook up like a Heraldic Beast Ryziel. Again, this is so important to have, this X-Ryziel, and being at 1, it's also a combo starter for Heraldic Beast, so yeah, this is unfortunate for Ryziel players. But the same thing essentially happened to Malice players, which lose Link Decoder in this tournament, but also lose Dormouse. And it's going to be at 1, maybe with Circular legal in both formats. Maybe someone could cook up a Ignister Malice Cybers pile. That could definitely be interesting, but we'll have to see about that. Snake Eye cards are limited. Tier Limits card, all of them are limited here. Tenpai Dragon Chandra, of course. And yeah, we got Phantom of Yubel, which in addition to, like, Yubel is a strong deck, don't get me wrong. They also released, I think, Nightmare Throne was released to 3 in the last OCG ban list, but with the Fiendsmith engine pretty much dead. It's not completely dead, but it's dead enough that this deck would lose consistency, and also with the fact that Aerial Eater is banned, this kind of means like a death sentence for Yubel in this list, which is fine because it won last year's World Championship with, of course, Ruben Panuranda. So yeah, that is fine. Detonator and Little Knight are at 1, and then Allure of Darkness, also a Malice hit. Bonfire, obviously, Branded Fusion. Yeah, Called by the Grave. OCG players are going to have to play with 1 copy of that. Crossout, it's great. Tracked again, limited. Crazy how limited this engine is. Instant Fusion, the Kashir field spell is limited on here. Sangen Summoning is limited, thank God, and Sangen Kaiman. Runic Fountain, funnily enough, is limited in the OCG. It's a 2 in the TCG. Sky Striker Mecha Hornet Drones. Striker, unironically, solid candidate for this list. The only card on any list is just 1 Hornet Drones. Everything else is a 3. I'm going to be loving to see if that works. And then Wanted, Seeker of Sinful Spoils, also being limited alongside the Abelstar, means that this might have a hard time if somebody wants to play that. Now for semi-limited, we have, of course, Ice Ryzeal, we have White Rabbit. Oh, sorry, I think that I missed one thing here. Sword Ryzeal. X Ryzeal is not the only limitation on Ryzeal. Sword as well. So take what I said before with a grain of salt. Yeah. So for here, we have like Sharvara is a 2, Etelli is a 2, Foolish Burial Goods, like a solid Orcust card, or Lunalite maybe, right? This is a good start for Lunalite, to be honest. I think they should play 3 of this. Underground, Pot of Desires, and Extravagance. This is going to hurt a little bit. Going to hurt Vanquish Soul, maybe. Super Poly is a 2. Yeah. And this is the list for here. Now, I do want to discuss a few decks that I think should be relatively interesting and competitive given this list. I think that, of course, at the top echelon are going to be Yummy and Canine Vanquish Soul. Those decks basically have their whole engine, whole non-engine, and all the tech cards that they play, like Herald of the Arclight, the Canine cards, the C104 Masquerade, Umbral Horror, all of these are going to be perfectly legal. And those are the best decks in the OCG right now. They're going to be the best decks probably at the World Championship, which is mostly what we're going to see. Another like sleeper variants, I think, could be Memento. This deck has been very successful in the TCG, not explored enough, and they don't really play it with, I think they don't play it with Fiendsmith in the TCG at all. It's just like a good engine deck with like a lot of hand traps. So maybe this deck, it's managing to top big events here. And another one is going to be K9 Crystron. Crystron, again, completely unhit, all of its engine pieces, all of its board breakers and boss monsters. And also, you do have the Millennium cards that really help this deck, but also, not only that, you also have the K9 cards, which work really, really well with the Crystrons because a lot of them are level 5s. They did get a new machine now, but it's not going to be legal for Worlds. But again, K9 Crystron, I would say probably a deck that we're going to see. And lastly, I think Blue Eyes White Dragon, funnily enough, I think this whole year was kind of building to have Blue Eyes at Worlds. No one's going to hit that deck, right? It was never that good enough. But again, all the non-engine, all the engine pieces are perfectly intact. And this could be a great competitor for this year. So we have Yummy, K9 Vanquish Soul, K9 Crystron, Memento, and Blue Eyes are probably my picks alongside Sky Striker, which I think will be a sleeper pick for this year. But honestly, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Which deck, given this list, could be the contender to win it all in this year's World Championship of the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG in Paris? Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe to this channel if you like this video. I'll see you next time. Peace.